Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank IDC's partner organizations, our distinguished speakers and members of Congress for their remarks on Christians' genocide in Iraq and Syria. My name is Loay Mikhael, and I am a Christian from Iraqi Kurdistan. I currently serve as the Iraqi advisor for IDC. I have served Iraqis, Christians, as the head of Foreign Relations Committee of the Chaldean Syrian Popular Council, representing the Christians community in Iraq and advocating for their rights within Iraq and Kurdistan. I would like to tell you the story of my people and the ongoing persecutions. Iraqi Christians are ethnically Assyrian Chaldean Syriac, and our ancestral roots in modern-day Iraq and Syria reach back 7,000 years of the civilization of Mesopotamia, 5,000 years before the birth of Christianity, and almost 6,000 years before the emergence of the Islam. In 2003, Iraqi Christians were around estimated 1.5 million, roughly 3% of the total Iraqi population. We were integrated members of the greater Iraqi society, contributing to our nation as leaders of business, entrepreneurs, political figures, teachers, doctors, engineers, scholars, and roughly every other sector of Iraqi society. But in 2004, after the American invasion of Iraq, many of our Arab countrymen began to identify Iraqi Christians with the West's intervention of Iraq. Our Christians' identity caused us to be quickly identified with the Iraqis' Western enemies, a place we have called our own for thousands of years. We suddenly became looked upon as outsiders. A sectarian violence across Iraqi increased. Iraqi Christians became an easy scapegoat for animosity toward the West. Even before the rise of ISIS, 20,000 Christian families had migrated from Basra, Baghdad, and Mosul to the Nineveh Plain and Kurdistan to escape persecution. Many more Christians, victims of persecution, unable to find work or to sustain their families, or fearful of threats and uncertain future, left Iraq. By 2006, the Christian population of Iraq had shrunk to 800,000 people. The persecution intensified, and between 2004 to 2010, over 2,500 Christians were killed throughout Iraq as victims of Christian-targeted sectarian violence. In the Nineveh Plain, Christian communities continue to be the target of Islamic radicals who resent their presence in the region of Christianity's historical roots there. In the summer of 2014, ISIS took over Mosul, the second largest city in Iraq, targeting Christians in Nineveh Plain and Yazidis in Sinjar. Hundreds of thousands of Christians and Yazidis fled their homes and towns for the ISIS brutality to Kurdistan region for safety and shelter. Over 118 churches were torn to the ground. Monasteries were attacked. Christian cemeteries were desecrated and convents were raided. Nuns, religious leaders, bishops, priestesses, and deacons were publicly beheaded. Almost 65,000 Christian families fled for fear of death from ISIS. Those who stayed were told that they could either pay the Islamic tax that was far outside of the economic means of any Christian family in the region, convert to Islam, or be beheaded. Christians, Yazidis, and other religious minorities had all of their property seized, their money and life savings stolen, and their girls, women, and their children abducted, never to be seen again. To this day, there are 40 Christian families from Mosul were taken by ISIS that are still missing. Mass executions of our communities took place. Now, the Christian community in Iraq is less than 300,000 people. ISIS has not hesitated to declare to the world that it has waged a war on the nation of the cross. Beheading Coptic Christians, Ethiopian Christians, and Assyrian Christians before the global public simply because they would not convert to Islam. On August 7, 2014, Iraqi parliament held a session denouncing ISIS for committing atrocities and crimes against religious minorities. The Iraqi parliament recognized this as a genocide. The daily average of Christian families fleeing Iraq is about 17 to 20 families. Yet, despite the persecution they faced, many bold believers are determined to stay so the Christians' presence in their country might continue. There are Iraqi Christians like Maysar al-Qaspatrus, who was quoted by the New York Times as saying, "We must die here. We cannot leave this country. If we don't do anything urgently, Iraq will be empty from the Christians. We must stop this Christian genocide in Iraq and Syria." Thank you so much for listening.